Hello, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, and welcome to the Rok Podcast.
Whoa, 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 whoa. Rock Nation. Our guest today, Kurt Lakatos from North Beach Combatives. He actually teaches a class out of the Rok Athletic Performance Center called SRT Fitness, Survival Reflex Training. You want to learn how to get out of precarious situations or a vulnerable situation, Kurt is the man. However, Mr. Lakatos is eating lunch right now, so the Rok crew, the Rok Podcast crew is going to carry the weight right now until Kurt gets here.
Yo.
What's up, guys?
What's happening, brother?
Wasn't the Rely Local networking event pretty cool?
Yes. Absolutely awesome.
I really enjoyed it. I did. And you know what? I had opportunities to go to these networking events a lot when I was working at other companies, and it just seemed like foo-foo type of stuff. And that was one of the first ones I went to, and I liked it. It was cool meeting new people.
It was productive.
Yeah, it was. It really was. Meeting Patty. Pepper Spray Patty.
Pepper Spray
Gotta
Patty.
love that nickname.
Pepper Spray Patty.
We met
Just
Pepper
flows.
Spray Patty at the Rely Local networking event, and she deals with women that have been in some very unfortunate circumstances, and she educates these women on how to take care of themselves or be aware of any situation that could pop up that's not good for them physically. And I don't know how much she touches in on the psych part of her program. Did you guys catch that at all, if she did?
Well, I know she gives her testimonial.
Right.
And explains how important it is to life in general, especially for females at certain ages. And
I thought what she was offering was pretty crazy because of Kurt being on the program today.
right.
Because Kurt works hand in hand with Patty, I think. I think those two, and this is a testimony to Rely Local, that networking event brought us two together.
Right.
Patty and what'll eventually be Kurt because of his program, but the Rok in general. But hats off to Nick for putting it together at Rely Local. We were at Route 20 Outhouse. Again, I couldn't get away from it. I had to have the bison burger.
Yeah, it's pretty good. That was the first time for me.
Really?
Yeah.
And what do you think?
Fantastic.
Yeah. And you can't go without the sweet potato fries. So it was just fun. What do you say, Lou? Lou always hides behind the computer.
No, I do hide. But I can say definitely that the bison burger is the best. Hold on.
Hold on.
Hold on.
You're telling me.
He's jumping behind the
I
computer.
think we got a
again.
call in.
We
got a
a
call in already.
There we go.
I wonder if
love
it was anybody from the event, because we told them that we were going to be on at 2, and we came on late at 10 minutes after, but hopefully it is a call-in.
Yeah, it is.
Oh, it is?
All right, just a second.
Here we go.
Who is it?
Okay, we have Patty on the line.
Oh, wow.
Pepper Spray Patty.
Hey, Patty.
How are you, Patty?
Hey, I'm good. Hi, guys.
How are you?
I am wonderful. I had a great lunch and met some absolutely wonderful people this afternoon.
We were just saying the same thing. Hey, because you called in, can you explain to the listeners exactly what you do and how we think it's going to tie in with our class here?
Sure. What I do is I am partnered with a company called Damsel in Defense. We are a safety and personal protection company. We are a direct sales company. Our mission is to equip, empower, and educate men and women to protect themselves and their loved ones. We offer Power Hour, which is either in your home, at a coffee shop, or your business, or anything like that. Class on safety and personal protection options. We also offer our product line, and then we offer our Safe Hearts family education program to help parents have shoulder-to-shoulder conversations with their kids about their bodies and how to protect those boundaries.
Nice. And just to give an example to the listeners, what type of products do you have for people to buy?
So our number one selling product.
Oh, wait, hold on.
We're having a technical difficulty right now. And that's our wonderful producer is hard at work.
Can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
Why isn't it?
Yeah, we're having a hard time getting her in.
I got it. Try it again.
Can you hear me now?
I said...
There we go.
Yes,
okay.
I can.
She's back.
And what type of products do you have, Patty?
The number one selling product that we have is our road trip. This is an auto emergency tool, something that you would keep in your car within arm's reach of the driver in case there's any kind of accident or a roadside emergency. It not only has a 3-function LED flashlight, emergency beacon, and an alarm on it, but it also has a seatbelt cutter and a spring-loaded punch glass breaker so that you can bust out the window without actually having to physically break the window and get out in case of an emergency.
Was that the tool that you had at the luncheon?
No. It's
okay.
a tool that I have in my car, but...
Okay. And what other types of devices do you have?
We have a lot of your non-lethal personal protection options. We have stun guns, pepper sprays. We have our socket to me striking tool, also referred to as a Kubaton. We have personal alarms, which are great for anyone of all ages, especially kids and seniors, because it helps to give them a voice in case there is a situation where they need to make some noise and draw some attention to themselves.
Very good. Now, I was just mentioning to Mike that I know that you have, this protection seminar or teaching, if you will. But do you have anything for the psychological part of what you do? Is that something you dip into?
It's not something I directly get involved in. I'm not a counselor.
Okay.
I do, as a damsel in defense pro, have resources. So in my communities that I work, I have connected with counselors, therapists, healers, a lot of different resources that are out there, so that if I do come across someone who is either a victim of a crime or a victim of domestic violence, sexual assault, human trafficking, that I have the resources to give to them. All I do is I share my story in the hopes that it will give hope to someone else, that they will know that there is strength within them, that they're not stuck in that situation, that there are people out there that can help them.
Awesome. Now, if you don't mind, Patty, what brought you to this? What brought you to Damsel in Defense?
Facebook did, actually. My story is that I was in a abusive marriage, and like most domestic violence victims, the scariest time for me was when I left. When I left my ex-husband, I had no idea where he was. I had no idea if he knew where I was.
Right.
I did what I possibly could, and the only things I could think of to not, for him not to be able to find me. But I had also filed for divorce, and so there was a certain amount of access that he did have to me. But it was scary. I was, by myself, and like I tell people, your trip to Walmart just to buy toilet paper or eggs was stressful and scary because you don't know. You don't know. I didn't know what he was capable of. I didn't know what he could do or wanted to do. I didn't know. I didn't know if he was right behind me, and I was constantly living in fear. And I had to go find personal protection and learn how to shoot a gun and learn how to make my home safer and learn how to be completely aware of my surroundings and not put myself into vulnerable situations. So when I did find Damsel in Defense a little over a year ago, I was like, oh my goodness, there's so many people that this can help. And so I got involved and then said, you know what, I just really need to be a part of this mission because ultimately, in the hopes that one person, if I can reach that one person and give them that hope and give them the ability and, maybe save a life.
Yeah, that's just an incredible thing that you're doing as far as educating the people that are in those vulnerable positions. And, they might be going through it at this time and feel that there's no hope. Mm-hmm. I guess what I've heard over time is when you're in that type of relationship and it is abusive, there's a very manipulative type of theme that goes on or a pattern, and you're fearful of leaving because you fear for your life, and so if there's an outlet, such as yours, and this is why we offer one of the programs that we do at the Rock as well is, offer some sort of I don't know if you want to call it hope, but some sort of confidence that they can make that decision. And I feel like yours ties right in with that. And maybe we can collaborate and make it even a stronger package.
Yes.
So guess who just walked in the door? The gentleman that's going to collaborate with you. How you doing, Kurt?
Hey, good.
Wonderful.
Yes, Kurt Lakatos, our SRT instructor. His company is North Beach Combatives. And Patty, his mission, and correct me if I'm wrong, Kurt, his mission is to help your type of situation where you've been in that type of relationship and now you're in a stressful, well, for you've worked out of getting out of that, but for people that are just getting out of it, they're in a very stressful situation. They may not have the weapons, and they don't have the physical attributes to take care of themselves, and that's what Kurt does. So I hope that, Patty, we can have you on the podcast one day so that we can go into this further.
Yes, I would love that. I would love to come out and chat with you guys and definitely would love to collaborate with Kurt. And I'm so grateful that there are other people that are out there because this mission is bigger than us. It's bigger than all of us. And when 1 in 3 women at some point in their life will experience some form of abuse from a domestic partner, we've got to put ourselves out there to help people. So that we can get rid of these horrific statistics. I
agree. Well, I want to thank you for calling in, Patty, and I'll touch base with you offline, and we'll work out a date with you and have you in here, and maybe work on something, within the brick and mortar place here, the Rock, and help out your customer base.
Definitely. Thank you, guys. I appreciate this.
All right, Patty. You have a wonderful day.
You too. Thanks, guys.
Bye.
Thanks.
What's up, Kurt? Did you bring me lunch?
I brought me lunch.
Where did you go?
The Dish.
Oh, you did? Oh, yeah. You know what? I got to talk to them. I actually tried reaching them, and they haven't got back to me. What did you order?
The
Yeah.
Ming Dynasty
Unwrap
salad.
it, brother. Why don't you eat?
No.
Chill back and eat.
No.
We'll talk while you have a mouthful. So since we had Patty just speak about what she went through, did you capture her story? Or did you hear it, most of it?
A little bit. I caught most of it, I think, and I think it would be good collaboration.
I do too. When we met her, we go, we have the perfect guy for you. We didn't mean a relationship. We meant we have the perfect guy for her product. And she's so excited. So what I wanted to do is just take this opportunity. And I know people, we've been working on this with you and your company.
Yep.
Tell people, how maybe what your company's about and what you want to do with it.
Yeah, so North Beach Combatives, it's really about just helping anybody that wants to learn self-defense that may or may not be able to afford it. So we don't want that be an obstacle for people being safe. So that's what we're trying to do. So that could be anybody from people like Patty or the people she works with to first responders like police officers, so police officers, firemen, also returning vets that are dealing with PTSD, to just average people, soccer moms, anybody that wants to learn to defend themselves.
Okay. It sounds like the microphone's off with Kurt. Is everything okay with that? Because there's a little bit of a drag. What do you say, Mr. Producer?
Testing.
How's this?
Yeah, way better. Okay. So, you have Patty here who's gone through that situation. What would be, if she came to you and wanted to take your class, how would you court her, in this type of class? Or what would you put her through as far as, teaching?
Well, everybody's different and everybody's experiences are different. So, I treat everybody like they're coming in with a history of violence because a lot of times you just don't know. People don't want to talk about it. So we try to, treat everybody with that sort of model, I guess, is the best way to say it. So we want to make it a comfortable environment. We want it to be fun more than anything because we want them to come back and keep training. We don't want it to be a situation where they feel like as soon as they walk out the door, they're going to be attacked or something like that. So,
right.
It's important they're having fun. That being said, if people are willing to share that they've had some violence in their background, it helps us kind of be more sensitive to that as we get moving forward and get other people involved. That's part of our program too, is making sure our instructors are sensitive to that too. So it's important. We want people to live better with this, not just deal with the past, but deal with the future too. So.
Right. And she touches on that. I just think it's a great program that she's in, as well as yours. Okay, so a person comes in. What type of things are going to do? What are you going to teach them? Because everybody wants to get to the nitty gritty.
Yeah.
Oh, am I going to be a black belt? This, that.
Yeah. We don't have a belt system. I mean, we're self-defense, and my personal view on it is that if you put a belt system to a self-defense program, I don't want to give anybody a false sense of security. So if they say, "Hey, I'm a black belt," I should be able to deal with anybody, any threat out there. I think that can be problematic. Also, some people, sometimes if they receive a belt, now they feel like they've achieved a goal, and then they kind of back off on their training because they feel they've kind of achieved something. But really, just like anything, if you don't use it, you lose it. So we want people. We use kind of a sliding scale to evaluate people, and it's not something to say, hey, you're not working hard enough or whatever. But we can look at certain areas of their training and say, hey, you're not as proficient as you used to be in this particular area. You just need to be aware of that. So maybe that's fine. Maybe they're trying to focus on another part of the training, and that's fine. But they should be aware of where they're at. But the type of training we do, it's everything from unarmed attacks to armed assault to multiple opponents. And we just want people to be prepared for that. And we try to build off your natural instincts because we want to bring people up to a high level, relatively high level in a short period of time. And the only way to do that is try to work with their natural instincts.
Yeah, that's a really good point.
Yeah, so that's kind of what we start with is we kind of evaluate people, and we want people to be in good shape, because all things being equal, the better shape you're in, the better chance of getting out of a situation you'll have.
Yeah, I was just going to ask you, do you offer any type of conditioning in that teaching?
Yep, and that's kind of where we start is we don't want people to get injured. We don't want people to, part of it is I kind of call it self-defense from the inside out. You're not just dealing with the threats outside, but you're dealing with your own demons too, and some people that's, maybe not living a healthy lifestyle. So I've noticed in my own training, when I train and I kind of get into a good rhythm and I feel like I'm in good shape, I don't want to lose that. So I tend to keep doing it. But there's always that hurdle where, you start out and it's like, oh man, I'm sore and this really stinks. And
then you're sore for a week.
Right. And that happens if you haven't worked out in a while. So it's important you listen to your own body and try to navigate through that, but you got to get past that point, because once you get past it, it's all roses. It feels great, but that initial part can be tough. So we try to help people work through that part too. So
you coach them through probably their worst point of training, which is the first couple of weeks. Would you agree?
Yeah, and our type of training, I don't want to say that we're not concerned with technique. We're very concerned with technique. But what's more important to us and what we do is we have a set of principles that we follow. So we want people to really get those principles ingrained, and then they'll be able to apply techniques in a dynamic way as they get going. So it's important for us to get people in, get them exposed, and we want people to be able to tap into their natural aggression, right? So we try to do different drills that are very, that can be challenging physically. But all of those drills are scalable, right? So what's challenging to me may not be challenging to you. So we got to scale that, to make it work for everybody, and we can do that. So it doesn't matter if you're, young, if you're old, or if you're in great shape or not such great shape. We can scale all that, and we don't have to split people off into different classes. Everybody's in the same class. Everybody's doing the same thing. And what I've noticed in this training is, people come in for different reasons, but it's a very kind of team focus. Everybody's there ultimately for one reason, and that's to better themselves and make their lives a little better. So, you get a lot of that camaraderie, I think.
Yeah. Now, when you say that, I think of karate, taekwondo, and how they rank people. And it seems like they don't consider the natural ability. It's you do this. This is when you're going to get your belt. So it's forms. It's obviously some fitness, but ultimately it's your forms and your technique. How does this differ from that? I mean, what's the difference? Because the way you're explaining it is you're not karate, taekwondo. Right. This is something else.
Yeah. Well, and what we do is we try to gear the training to. This is probably not a great way to put it, but the lowest common denominator. So we want the product, or we want the techniques and the principles to apply to everybody, not just someone like you who's big and strong and athletic. We want it to be able to apply.
Thank you very much.
And ruggedly good looking.
Really? You don't have to get any brownie points here, buddy.
I know.
He's got a free year.
All right, it's working. But we also want it to work for maybe somebody who's older or dealing with injuries, or somebody who's very
now
small.
Now we're talking about the right guy.
Older, injury prone.
Oh boy.
Yeah. Now you're on the right track. Keep going, brother. Keep going.
Goatee.
Losing their memory. So anybody.
Yes. Now you got it.
What was that? All right. Let me ask you this. And I actually, at this networking event that we were at, I bragged about you, and I tried to bring in some of the history of you. If you could explain to the listeners, where are you coming from?
Yeah. Well, I've been in martial arts for most of my adult life, so, without dating myself, let's just say over 20 years. But
he started when he was 35.
Yeah. No. But so I've been involved. I started in Taekwondo. Then I moved to Okinawan karate, Shorei-ryu. Loved that, and that was kind of gearing me a little bit more towards where I was going. I was, as a young guy, all young guys are kind of got that not all, but I did. I had a little bit of a chip on my shoulder, and I wanted to learn how to fight. And so the Okinawan karate really kind of focused more on the fighting aspect, and it was a lot more permissive to do different things that you couldn't do, say, in a taekwondo type of tournament. So groin kicks were legal, leg kicks, almost everything in our sparring was legal, and that kind of started to prepare me for where I was eventually going, which was Krav Maga. And I had very good fortune. I was able to train some very good people in multiple organizations, and I opened a school about 10 years ago, Krav Maga Milwaukee. It's still around. I sold it probably about 5 years ago, maybe.
Okay.
But it's still around. It's at the Monkey Bar up in Milwaukee now.
Oh, okay.
Yep.
All right.
As far as I know, they still do a great job. Some of my old students are actually teachers there now. So
okay. Wow. Good for you.
Yeah. So I mean, I learned a lot from Krav Maga, and really it kind of took that chip off my shoulder because, we were training with, for those worst case scenarios, and it really kind of put it in perspective that it's not a game.
For those that don't know out there, what is Krav Maga?
Yeah, Krav Maga is it's an Israeli system of self-defense. It's used by the Israeli Defense Forces. So it's geared exactly for that. We want, in that type of environment, you have a few months of basic training, and during that time you're learning a lot of different things. Hand-to-hand combat is just one of many things, so it needs to be something that people can learn quickly and be able to apply under stress. So that's, in essence, what Krav Maga is. It borrowed from a lot of different systems, everything from Muay Thai. It's got the groundwork is based off a stripped-down version of Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, very stripped down. Mm-hmm. It mixes in elements of Western boxing and wrestling as well. So there's a lot there, but again, it's stripped down. So again, to be able to be usable by an average person, and again, the IDF, they have both male and females in their infantry, in their combat units. So it needs to work for someone who's relatively small or not as strong, all the way up to your big tough guys, right?
Is this like to me? It's like dirty martial arts.
It's combat. There's no rules. This is you're supposed to use this when you got no other choice. You need to survive, and if that means gouging or biting or kicking to the groin or grabbing an improvised weapon and using that, you got to do what you got to do. And in Krav Maga, especially in Israel, I mean, it accounts for everything. I mean, Krav Maga is a very broad term. It includes firearms. It includes everything. So it's self-defense, and I'd like to say in its purest
primitive
form.
way. Almost.
Yeah, it's about survival.
There's no rules on the street.
No, right.
Right. So
survive.
Are there Krav tourneys?
No.
There's no tournaments or anything?
No. There are some guys out there that I won't call them tournaments, but they will demonstrate. And there's a gentleman by the name of Dennis Hanover, and he's kind of a legend in Krav Maga circles. He's actually started his own system of jiu-jitsu, and this guy, I mean, he's amazing. He's a legend, but he trains a lot of the top level guys in special ops in Israel. Their Shin Bet, which is their secret service. He trains a lot of their guys. I think their top instructor is one of Dennis Hanover's students. But they'll do, I think Dennis Hanover has some sort of world, and don't quote me on this because I'm not sure, but it has some sort of world championships where they'll do gun disarms and weapon disarms, and they're graded more on execution. But it's not, I mean, there's plenty of sparring and fighting and things like that, but it's not so much a tournament type of thing.
So if there's no tournaments, how do you become like a certified Krav teacher or, if you will, black belt instructor? Yeah,
there's a lot of different organizations out there, and I've been lucky to work. I don't have any bad things to say about any of them. I will say that there is a lot of politics, right?
Like just about
Just about anywhere. Yeah.
right.
I mean, Emil Lichtenfeld was the founder of the system, and he passed away. And a lot of his top students, I don't want to say it left a power vacuum, but okay, well now who's in charge, right?
Right.
So a lot of these guys developed their own organizations, and everybody kind of was staking claim, I guess, and that led to some disputes. I never got involved in that because, quite frankly, it was none of my business. But I have a lot of friends and former teachers that are on different sides of that debate or that argument, and I just stay out of it. It's not my business.
So you're certified, though, right? Is that what they call it?
Yeah. I used to be certified. I'm no longer part of any of those organizations.
So that's why you wouldn't consider yourself certified.
Right. Right, because I take self-defense very seriously, and there are a lot of people out there that are teaching self-defense that, in my opinion, quite frankly, have no business doing it.
Right.
This isn't a sport. It's and not to knock sports, but when you're training somebody for a tournament and they lose, that sucks. But when you're training someone
to stay alive
and they lose, that's a whole different ballgame. So I take it very seriously, and I'm not gonna put credentials out there that aren't accurate.
Right.
So I'm very upfront about the fact that, and the reason I'm no longer affiliated with these organizations is I don't want to be involved with the politics. I think it's really unfortunate because, again, the instructors that I trained under are incredibly talented and incredibly knowledgeable, and unfortunately, a lot of those guys don't collaborate anymore, and I think that's a detriment to the system.
Yeah. You got to have some stories, though, as far as getting to the top of the game.
Oh, yeah.
Where they test you.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, there's...
Why don't we do this? Why don't we... are we good for some news? Do you guys have a crazy news story? Or
Absolutely.
Why don't we go to the news, and we'll come back to Kurt and get one of his stories.
Late breaking news. Out of Russia, we have a scenario where people were driving along in their cars having literally a crappy day. Why, do you ask? Because they were driving behind a sewage truck.
Oh, no.
Oh, yes. Oh, yes, they were. And literally got crapped on. The sewage...
Well, so much for lunch.
So much for lunch. I mean, I tell you, they showed pictures of these cars with feces all over their cars. The sewage truck just opened up and boom, 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 splat, splat, splat.
You know what, though? I eat lunch while I drive.
Yeah.
Oh, my God.
No. Now, just think if your window was open. Yeah. Yeah, that's out of Russia. God bless the United States of America.
Yeah, we didn't get crapped on.
No, not yet. Just don't drive behind a sewage truck.
Speaking of getting crapped on, did Russia do well in the Olympics, or were they crapped on?
They got crapped on.
They got crapped on.
They did.
Oh, yeah.
I heard that they got some guys disqualified from the Paralympics, too.
What?
Yeah.
I'll tell you, with these communist countries, they pump in all the steroids and the blood doping and whatnot, and after the last Russian Olympics and the Chinese Olympics, they really cracked down on those countries. What's ironic is when it was in Russia, Putin, his numbers were the lowest ever. He was about to just be done. Well, the Olympics comes to Russia, he wins all the golds and, the most medals.
Did they jam him in with...
And his numbers skyrocketed. So, hence the reason he's still the president of Russia.
Yeah, wow. Are they... don't the Olympics go by USADA? Are they USADA commissioned for testing? Do you guys know?
They got to be at least as strict if they're not.
Yeah, because I thought that was like the most strict form of testing is through the Olympics.
Good question. I know the IOC is just as crooked as anybody. Yeah. The International Olympic Committee. Yeah. They're pretty bad. So that's probably why Russia got away with
What they did.
what they did. You just give the IOC a little stipend and say, hey, ignore what you're seeing here, buddy.
Right.
I wonder if who's testing the Olympics. I thought they were really, really strict.
Apparently not, because Russia got away with it, then China got away with it, and now it's going to be in China again. And for
The next Summer Olympics is in China?
the summer or the winter, yeah,
Oh.
whatever's coming up.
When
I
was
think
it last in the U.S.? Do you know?
Atlanta.
Was it Atlanta?
I think that was
What year was that?
96, maybe.
Why aren't we getting the Olympics? Why does
Nobody
it take
wants
20-some
Nobody,
years?
Nobody wants it. Boston was offered it, and they said no thanks.
Yeah,
So
too much
they-
money.
They actually take a hit by having the Olympics.
Yes.
There's no revenue.
Those,
I mean, there's revenue generated, but they don't come out on the positive?
well, it's so crooked. That's why. There's no fair game in the Olympic Committee, and these places like Brazil that build these $1 million hundreds of millions of dollar facilities, they go unused forever.
Yeah. Didn't that happen at the last one?
Yep. Every one of them. Athens, Greece.
I was just going to say Greece. Yeah.
All their buildings are run to the ground. You know, it costs millions a year to maintain these buildings and for not even being used. So, yeah.
Well, what they're saying is in the U.S., possibly 2024 for Summer Olympics.
Well, I know Obama tried to get in Chicago one of the years, but
Yeah, I think that was one that Boston beat them
Boston
out,
too,
and then
yeah.
Boston turned it down.
yeah.
After
That's
they
why
found out
a
what was
lot
gonna
of
come.
these communist countries, the democratic countries, are bailing. They say this is not worth it. The communist countries, they don't care.
They're pocketing all the money.
Yeah.
Yeah. Wow.
China imprisoned.
China.
They imprisoned Olympic athletes and reporters. So the ones that didn't agree with how the Olympics were being run, they actually imprisoned them. All the reporters that were against the Olympics being in China, they threw them in jail and threw away the key, so they couldn't come out. Yeah, man.
Wait a minute. How long were they in jail? Just until the
I
Olympics
know
were
there's
over?
still some in jail now.
No way.
Yes.
When was the last Olympics in
Pen
China?
pal or
Yeah, I pen pal with a couple.
When was the Olympics in China?
That
was in
last
4
Olympics.
That was 4 years?
Yeah.
So they've been.
Or maybe it was the last Winter Olympics. Maybe that's what it was. Because Russia was, I think, Russia was the last Winter Olympics, and then China maybe. I don't know.
Isn't it every 4 years?
It's every 2 years.
Ah,
You got
okay.
the summer,
And
then
then
2
the
years
winter.
later the winter, 2 years later
Okay.
summer.
So what's coming up
The
winter?
winter will be in 2018.
in China?
Good question.
Okay.
But I watched a great show on HBO, the Brian Gumbel's,
Yeah.
what do you call it?
Real sports?
Real Sports, and it was about the Olympics, the IOC. And they went over Russia, they went over China, and then Brazil. And it's amazing because Brazil had been given a lot of money. They were supposed to clean up all the waters, and it was absolutely infested with trash, and that's why a lot of these Olympic athletes didn't want to go to Rio, because it was so dirty. They were afraid of diseases.
Think of the swimmers.
Right.
I mean, isn't there like a cross country
Yeah,
deal
the
that they have to-
triathlon or whatever you call
They have
it.
that in the Olympics?
Yeah.
Who the hell's going to jump
They
in their
swim
water?
in. They had garbage trucks that are boats that pick up garbage in the water. That's how nasty that water is.
I wouldn't do it.
Just cesspools of garbage. It's kind of like that truck in Russia. It's just
Crap down.
crap everywhere.
It's I think at that point you got to be like Eddie Murphy and say, "I'll take the 0."
I'll take this.
Yeah.
Do you remember that routine?
Oh, yeah.
Anyway. All right, let's get back to Kurt. Oh, we got more news?
Well, I do have something I want to put out there.
Okay.
And it's Route 20, one of our big-time sponsors here.
Yeah.
First off, I had the bison burger today for the first time ever. Fantastic.
I told you.
Fantastic.
I told you, hands down. I love
Really
that burger.
good.
Yeah.
If you don't eat a bison burger, then
You're missing
not
out.
cool. And they're also having a concert this weekend. And if there's anybody who wants to call in to get some free tickets, don't hesitate, because we have Austin John Winkler, formerly of Hinder.
I wanted to see that, but I'm out of town.
Yeah. So we got a handful of tickets here. Call in, get your free tickets anytime. Phone number is 414-233-1086, 414-233-1086. Call in, get your tickets.
You know what? You know what I'd like to say is anybody that wants to call in and ask Kurt a question about survival reflex training, please do.
Absolutely.
Kurt's available for that.
233-1086. 233-1086.
All right, give me some. I was just going to say to Lou, give me some really good stuff. And he gave me a rewind. So back to Kurt. That was the cue. Krav Maga, dirty fighting is what I call it. And I think it's awesome because I've gone through a few sessions at a place out in Racine. I can't remember the
Yes,
place.
Chase
Yeah, I think that's
Taekwondo's got a
what- yeah.
program. Yep.
And I went through 2 or 3. It's just too far away from me at the time. It was, I'd say, about, probably about 8 years ago. And holy smokes, they ran me through the ringer. But I was having a blast because we were doing everything, kicking, smashing.
Yep.
They even had some kind of technique where we were pulling hair. I mean, it was everything and
So
anything
what were they doing with you? Pulling your beard?
No. No, we were using some like dummy or something. I can't remember what it was, but it was some crazy drills, but it was real. Mm-hmm. It was like I don't have to be a super athlete
Right.
to apply what they were teaching me.
Yep.
And I thought it was great. I never got back after a few. I actually knew someone out there, and I used to work with him. And he invited me out. They wanted me to train there, and the distance was too far at the time. I had I have family, so.
Well, I've trained with those guys, but they're good guys. I highly recommend it. They got a good program.
Yeah, it was awesome. But I want to get back to what I was asking you before we went to the news. Mm-hmm. To get to the top of the game, if you will, of Krav, what type of things did you have to do? Everybody's got a story in their martial arts life. If you got something that's juicy, exciting, what have you, go for it. I love these things. I'm sure the listeners would love it.
Yeah, so it was a while back when I went through my certification. There's multiple phases to it, but I remember when I went through my first phase, which in my opinion was the toughest because they don't want you there. They only want people who are committed and are going to get through it. So they put you through hell, and they treat you like shit because they don't want you there, and unless you can get through it. Now, when you come back to the next phase, then it's like,
Your buddies.
The prodigal son. Yeah, it's like, hey, how you doing, Kurt? It's good to
So
have
it's
you.
like it's almost like Navy SEALs.
Well, no.
No,
I'm not going to say
they're tearing you down, and
in that regard, yeah. But I mean, we're not Navy SEALs. I mean, we're just, no, we're not. We're not Navy SEALs. But yeah, it's tough. It's really tough. Toughest thing I ever did. And I will say, I mean, there are some pretty hardcore guys that go through it that I've seen that didn't make it. It's probably about, at least the time, I don't know what it is now, but probably about a 40% fail rate.
oh wow,
And I remember there was guys that came that just were not prepared. They didn't know what this was. They didn't know what they were getting into. And I wouldn't put my worst enemy through that if if they weren't ready for it. It's hard, and it's pretty brutal. They beat you down. I mean, there's no other way to say it. And they're trying to get you to quit.
Mm-hmm.
So that old adage, it's 90% mental. I don't know. It's 90% mental, but it feels like it's 90% physical too.
Right.
But it's definitely you gotta be tough mentally, because I remember, the first phase, it was, I don't know what it was, 7 days or something straight, and you're training 8 to 10, sometimes longer hours a day, and I remember.
So that's hard on your body.
Oh, it's terrible.
I mean, you're
everybody's sick by the end of it. I mean, literally sick, because your immune system's shot. And all it takes is one guy to get a bug, and then everybody's got it. And but I remember, by day 3, maybe, I was just thinking to myself, what the hell am I doing here? But then you get over that hump, and and it's you get through it or you don't. But I got through it, and it was a great experience. I'd recommend it to anybody as long as they know what they're getting into.
So then day 3 approaches. You're there. You get through it. You obviously get through the first phase. What's after that? Well, actually, let me ask you this. What are you doing in phase 1?
So phase 1, the first thing they do is you come into the training room, and the instructors there are really hardcore, and you don't really know what to expect. So first thing they do is just calisthenics. Just you're doing push-ups, you're doing sit-ups, you're running, they're just making you tired. They're exhausting you. Then they move into combatives, so you're doing punches, kicks, knees, elbows. You're holding pads for each other. Then we start doing defenses versus unarmed attacks. So, and this is every day. There's portion of your day is dedicated to this type of training. And then they're teaching you, different type of defenses that we do against unarmed attacks. So somebody tries to punch you, do a particular defense. And they're telling you, knock that guy out. No gloves, no pads. They're saying, knock that guy out.
You would actually knock a guy out during training.
If you don't defend, you'll lose. Yeah.
This is during training.
Yeah, and they tell you, if we see you sandbagging and you don't throw a punch to knock that guy out, we're going to kick you in the balls.
I'm knocking the guy out.
Yeah, well, absolutely.
Absolutely.
I didn't see anybody sandbagging. If I got to knock somebody out to avoid getting kicked in the balls.
Come on, man. This is really going on.
Yeah, that's what we did. And
were you in Israel learning this?
No, this was in L.A. This was through Krav Maga Worldwide. And I did train with the Israelis, too, through the Israeli Krav Maga Federation. I trained under Ayal Yanilov, who's one of EME's top students. And it was funny, because that's the biggest difference, in my opinion, between the Americans and the Israelis. When it came to America, nobody knew what Krav Maga was. A lot of people still don't, but nobody knew what it was. So, and this was back probably in the early 80s, where, martial arts was very segregated, right? I mean, you had your taekwondo, your karate, your boxing, your wrestling, so and everybody's kung fu was better than everybody else's, right? You'd fight to prove it. So they had to, now you got this Krav Maga. What is this? So Darren Levine, who is also one of EME's top students, brought it to the U.S., and the first thing he did is he just started recruiting the biggest, baddest MFers he could find, trained them up, and,
clean house?
Yeah. So, I mean, these guys were just monsters.
Were you guys fighting, like, taekwondo guys, karate, to prove what Krav could do?
I don't necessarily know that they were going out doing that, but there'd be people that would come
challenge
to them. Yeah, and it was, usually didn't end well, because like I said, there's no rules, And, but that's the biggest difference I noticed between the mindset between the Americans and the Israelis, and I don't mean this in a negative way. The Americans, even to this day, I think there's still that little bit of chip on their shoulder that, hey, we may not be Israelis, but we're doing we're just as hard as those guys. But when you train with the Israeli guys, it's still very hard training. Don't get me wrong, but it's a more mellow attitude almost. Yeah.
I don't even think you could use the word mellow.
No,
with
mellow's
Krav.
not the right word, maybe, but it's it's like they got nothing to prove,
Right.
You know. Whereas even to this day, I still almost get a little bit of that impression that the American practitioners feel like, you know, we're just as hard as those Israelis, so we'll show it, you know, we'll prove it. But I don't know. I mean, I learned a lot of good things from both organizations. You know, one thing that I think the Americans do better than anybody is, you know, is that what I call the self-defense timeline. So, for example, if you see somebody across the street and you don't feel right about them, you don't cross the street, right? So that's very early in the timeline.
Mm-hmm.
Then you get to the end of the timeline and you're in a fight, right? And then you got everything in between. I think the Americans did a really good job of that end of the timeline. They were focused on that part of the timeline, you know, very much so, where the Israelis were very good at focusing on all aspects of that timeline.
Sure.
So I mean, which I think is important because you can't always, that can't be your only reaction is the, you know, the 10th degree reaction, right? You got to be able to scale it to what the threat is. So
right. So going back to your phases, you were in phase 1. A lot of calisthenics, a lot of drilling.
Yeah, a lot of that, a lot of sparring, a lot of drilling, a lot of I mean, it was just brutal.
And then phase 2, where do you go?
Phase 2 is a little bit more technique oriented. It was still very difficult, very grueling physically, but at that point, if you made it there, they didn't feel like they needed to test your toughness so much. So it was I won't say easier, but it was different.
Okay.
And then now you're getting into more complicated techniques. So now they got to focus because you're not just there to be tested. You're there to be you know, they want to polish up your skills too. So there's training involved, not just testing you.
So now you go through phase 2. Is this sort of winding towards the certification?
Well, you're certified after the first phase, but you're only certified to a certain portion of the curriculum, to teach a certain portion of the curriculum.
Okay.
So then phase 2, you can teach a little bit more of the curriculum, some more advanced stuff, and then after phase 3, then you're certified to teach more, and then it goes on and on until, you know, you're teaching weapon defenses, things like that.
Okay. So there's 3 phases then.
Well, depends, again, on the organization. So Krav Maga Worldwide, I believe there's 5.
Oh, my.
And then the Israeli Krav Maga. And by the way, there's also continuing education. You have to, I don't remember what it was, but you had to go to a weekend refresher, I think every couple of times a year maybe, regardless of where you were in your training. And they could pull your certification anytime. So if you weren't
cutting the mustard,
then it's like, hey, sorry, we're going to have to, you know, I don't know if that ever happens, but because I think, you know, they want you to be out there teaching, but they want you to be teaching good stuff.
Yeah, effective.
Yeah, and you know, and there's a lot of stuff out there, and you know, and I hate it when people, you know, I mean, there's good and there's bad people in every art, you know, and if you're going to hold up the worst example of anything, well, we might as well just pack it in and not do any martial arts, because there's always somebody out there that's doing something stupid.
Right. You got to have some crazy stories. Come on.
Yeah.
What's out there?
Oh, boy. Well,
there's been kicked in the nuts.
Yeah. You know what's funny? Lou bringing that up as being kicked in a part that you don't want to be kicked in is he was showing me a demonstration, and this was right when we got started here at the Rock, and he was sort of showing me what he does, and he said, here, Jeff, just stand here. I'm going to kick you on the inside of your thigh. And don't worry, I'm not even going to get close. You're okay. And I'm like, okay, you know, he's the instructor, blah, blah, blah. And I'm standing there in my fighting stance.
Did I hit you?
I'm standing there in my fighting stance. I have jeans on. Now, he's just showing me. This isn't a class or anything like that. He's showing me. And And now I'm in my jeans. And he throws, I believe it was a right kick to the inside of my right thigh. And I felt my jeans move right in the middle, like my crotch. He was that fast, that accurate, and it was like a perfect kick without hitting you. But he got the little edge of my jeans, and I think I might have turned a different color because I realized
you just got no feeling left on you.
Hey, that was good.
Krav Maga has got to be like the scariest art form ever.
Yeah, in the way you threw that kick, it was just like money. It was on point, on target. Don't worry, I didn't hit you, right? I'm like, yeah, you didn't.
We got kind of a.
It was awesome though.
In Krav Maga, they call they call a groin kick the Israeli handshake.
Awesome. That's good. The Israeli.
You really got to team up with Patty.
Yeah, you know what?
You got to schedule a day to maybe they could put on like a seminar together.
Yeah, I think it would be great. I really do. I think it's not only going to help out the SRT program to get people to say, hey, come on in. You're not only getting fit, but you're also learning some of these things that you've had the privilege of learning, becoming an expert on, and give them that.
Well, and I want to give a little background on SRT and what makes us like Krav Maga, what doesn't,
right?
What makes us different, and then I'll tell you a funny story. But so SRT.
So again, the part kicking me and that wasn't funny.
Well,
it was
fun.
To me.
It was fun, right?
It made me laugh.
Go ahead. I'm sorry.
So SRT, we're a nonprofit organization, right? So. And we're not affiliated with any organization, but that doesn't mean...
You mean North Beach Combatives is nonprofit?
Right. North Beach Combatives. I'm sorry. North Beach Combatives is nonprofit. And we're not affiliated with any other Krav Maga organization or anything like that. What we do is called survival reflex training. We want to differentiate for a couple of reasons. One, I have a lot of friends that... And again, anybody that goes into Krav Maga, they've paid for it with their blood and their sweat.
Right.
So... I respect that, and I respect those guys, and I don't want to take away from what they're doing. So,
right.
But then the other thing is there's certain things that I think could be done differently or better for our situation. Again, when you have people coming in with certain backgrounds that may have certain trigger points, I don't know necessarily that a Krav Maga approach is always going to be the healthiest.
Right.
But that being said, we have a curriculum advisory committee made up of a lot of really great people that hopefully we'll get on the podcast, some of them for you.
Yeah, absolutely.
But we've got, Juma, for example, is on our curriculum advisory committee. He's a black belt in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu.
The Rok's instructor.
That's right.
Yes.
Yeah, come to the Rok if you want good Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, that's for sure. So he's on the curriculum advisory committee. We've got law enforcement guys. Jake Trisoni, who's a law enforcement. He trains. I'm not sure which department he's on. He doesn't advertise that, but he's their SWAT instructor, firearms instructor. So when we want to talk about firearms, we have somebody we can go to. We have guys who are involved in Filipino martial arts. So when we want to talk about knife or stick or club defense, we have a resource that are experts in that area. Nick Aguilar, a great mixed martial artist and a tremendous wrestler. So we have somebody that we can ask questions about regarding wrestling. We've got people from all different areas. So it's not just me saying, hey, this is what we should do, this is what we shouldn't do.
So you can tap into based on the individual.
Absolutely.
Help me out with this.
Yeah. If we run into a situation, our system needs to evolve. It always needs to evolve because threats are always evolving. So we need to have that those resources that we can fall back on. And I think, we've got a Muay Thai guy as well. From Laos, so he's been doing it since he was a kid. So when it comes to striking effectively, we got a resource there too. So anytime we want to come up with something or something presents itself that we don't feel we have a good answer for, we fall back on these guys to
Yeah,
help
you're
us
not
better.
pigeonholed into one way.
No.
Like
You
I
can't
said,
be.
based
You can't
on a situation and somebody's ability and blah, 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 you ask that resource if need be.
Absolutely, yeah.
Do they actually come by, or is that somebody that you...
These are all guys that I've been lucky enough to train with, and I'm friends with. So, you know, and what's great about it is when I approach these guys, say, "Hey, I'm starting this nonprofit." I didn't have anybody say no.
Yeah.
You know, as soon as I told them what our mission was, they were like, "Yeah, I want to be part of that." So, we're not in it to make money. You know, when I say we're a nonprofit in the strictest sense. There's so far I've spent a lot of money, but you know, we're not looking to make money. We just want to give back to our community. And I got to say thank you very much to the Rock, because, you know, they donate their space to have this facility to allow us to kind of use it as our laboratory and teach some classes too. And the other thing, eventually, long term, what we'd like to do is offer scholarships to gyms who are willing to take on.
I think that's a great idea.
Yeah. So, I mean, we're going to work on raising money and then use that for scholarships for other gyms who want to be part of that network. And, you know, maybe they're a traditional gym where it's more of a sporting environment. It's like, well, you know, we do, you know, we're a Taekwondo gym, or we're a Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu gym, but we're strictly sport aspect. We'll work with you. We'll help you get some of that self-defense curriculum down that you can use.
I believe we should give a shout out to our sponsors. What do you think, Lou? We can get back with Kurt.
Yeah, let's do it.
We're listening for the I just love this music. It sounds like a commercial back in the 70s.
It's elevator music.
This is Elevator. It sounds like it should be on like I Dream of Jeannie
70s,
or something.
that's
Yeah.
like right in your wheelhouse there, Jeff.
Yeah.
It's more like makeout music for you.
That
isn't it?
was, whoa. No, it really does. Where's this coming from? Like,
One of our sponsors
Oh,
is
I'll let
Route
you go.
20 Outhouse. And your sign matters to Tommy, Rely Local, Josh Ebert, Tattoos, Tunnel Vision, and for Jits, I want to also give a reminder. We have our Andre Galvo seminar October 1st and 2nd. It's going to be awesome. Back to you, Jeff.
yeah. What's going on? What else is going on with you, Kurt?
Oh,
Tell
no.
us what you're doing. Don't you have
He's gonna
a
compete.
competition
Yeah,
soon?
yeah. I'm going to compete in the Combat Corners BJJ tournament next month, and no idea how that's going to go, but
Oh, you're going to have fun.
but I've been training hard, so I feel like I've won already just by being able to put some focus to my training. So it's been a lot of fun.
Yeah. You know what? It is a lot of fun. When we had Dan here last week, we were talking about it. And, you know, one of the things that he brought up that I thought was really interesting is the weight divisions. I asked him, you know, what would you tell a white belt? You know, they're concerned about their weight, what have you, and what they should cut to if they should. And he one of the first things he said was that I thought was solid was, don't worry about your weight. Go in there, fight what you're comfortable with, and just have fun.
Yep.
Enjoy the experience, and then you'll find out after that what you need to do. The guys that compete and have been around the game, so on and so forth, that have cut before, they know what they need to do. They know what they feel comfortable with as far as weight goes. I just, you know, the first time I did, I cut 19 pounds.
Wow.
To get down to 235 or something like that. And
Was that a good move, you think? I mean, did you feel...
I felt good, but I didn't feel strong.
Okay.
My opponent said I was strong, but I didn't feel strong.
So is that 19 pounds still gone?
No, that 19 pounds came back with an investment of more.
It's always good to plan for the future.
I'm a blue chipper. No, but you know what? You and I talked a couple days ago, and I thought you said something really good as far as enjoying the training almost more than enjoying the event, because we've competed before. And, you know, I agree with you. There's something to it that you just, it's the building up and doing all the hard work. And then you get to the event and, you know, it could be over in 5 minutes.
Yeah, and for me, when I look at the competition, I'm a competitive guy, so I think, you know, looking back at competition days in the past, and I know it's going to be the same way, I'm going to look at it that, you know, I want to win, and now you got to sit around, you got to wait for your match, and then you do your match, and assuming you win, now you got to sit around and wait for your next match, and the whole time your mind's going over everything, and then the other thing too is, you know, the Rock is a new gym, you know, and you guys are my friends, and Juma is not just my coach, he's my friend. And I don't want to let you guys down. So now it's not just on my shoulders. It's you know, there's a lot there. And you know what? And I think about that, and I'm like, well, that doesn't sound like a fun day at all.
But, you know, what's funny is when I compete, my first jiu-jitsu tournament that I competed in, it was controversial, but I ended up losing. And yeah, it was still fun. I told Dan, I love the experience in jiu-jitsu. But when I was done, I felt like I let my coach down. You know, and you brought that up. It is one of those things that you do think about, you know, because we have become friends. But when it's all said and done, for you as an individual, you know, you don't have to worry about us. You said we're friends. Yeah. And it's not a matter of letting us down or letting your coach down. It's the experience, and hopefully you have another opportunity to do it again. Yeah. You know, I just loved it. I haven't competed since just because of injuries, but man, I'm excited to watch you compete. I really am.
I'm excited too. You know, and I think it's going to be a lot of fun. I'll tell you, actually, you were the one who convinced me to do it. I wasn't planning on competing anytime soon. And you said, well, why not? You know, I'm like, well, if I don't feel like I can be ready, I'm not going to do it, you know. And you said, well, you got 11 weeks. And then when you said that, I'm like, yeah, that's true. I do. You know, and then you said, that's like a perfect training camp.
It
and
is.
I'm like, yeah, I guess it is. So then I didn't really have any excuses. And I said, all right, I'm going to do it. And I'll tell you what, having something to focus your training on like that. I was
just going to bring that up.
I think, so what, it's been 7-8 weeks since I started. Yeah. And I think I've learned more in that 7 or 8 weeks. I've gotten better in that 7 or 8 weeks than I have in all my training combined for jiu-jitsu.
Yeah, your focus has to be pretty keen during that time, because you know you're going to be going to battle.
Yeah.
Well, and on top of that, you're
going
getting
against
in shape.
Guys you don't even know.
Right.
You never wrestled or competed against them before, so it's different. You know, you roll with guys here, and it's like, well, I know these guys, and you know, I know their strengths, I know their weaknesses, and I know what to expect. But you go up against somebody you've never met before, it's like, oh, I don't know what this guy's about, you know. And maybe he's fast, maybe he's strong, maybe he's fast and strong, you know. So it'll be interesting, though.
Well, you know, it gets you in shape too.
Oh yeah.
You know, since I haven't competed, you know, getting into shape is sort of takes the back burner, because you come up with excuse after excuse. Oh, I had a long day, stress, blah, blah, blah. I got to get this done. But if I were to say, yeah, I would have competed in this one, you know what? All the other stuff would have gotten done, but it wouldn't have taken a priority to get into actual competing shape. Yep. And along with that, you start to feel way better about yourself.
I feel great,
Yeah, and you look great. I mean, I remember telling you, I think it was a couple of weeks ago, I could tell you're leaning up. Yeah. You can see it. And I didn't know if you lost weight. Usually when somebody, you know, is cut, they're losing weight. But I've been around athletes who have not cut weight, but they look cut, but they've actually put some weight on.
Yeah, muscle weight.
Yeah. Right. So, yeah, you're looking.
Well, I actually went away from heavy lifting. I was doing a lot with, you know, tried some of Nick's stuff, the central nervous system stuff. Nick Baligas, he's one of our coaches here. And as far as performance training, I can't recommend his program enough. I did some of that. I think one thing I would do differently next time, I'm doing a lot of different things now.
Yeah.
I think maybe I'd focus down on a few things. I think Nick's program would be one I would focus more on. But I've gotten away from the heavy lifting for this, so I don't necessarily feel like, I was more like into the powerlifting, trying to get as heavy as I can and get as, maybe it's only 5 reps, but get as much weight as I can on the bar
Get
that
strong.
I can handle.
Yeah.
And I moved away from that, and I've honestly, for jiu-jitsu, I think it's a lot better for me anyways. So yeah, I lost weight.
How much have you lost?
About 15 pounds.
Wow.
Yeah.
So you came in weighing what before training?
About 218, 220.
Oh, so you're close to your. What was your target weight? 200.
Well, I wanted to get to 205, which I'm at, but I'd like to get down to 195, but I didn't think I could really do it in time for the tournament and still feel good at that weight.
Right.
So I didn't want to push it. It's my first Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu tournament, so I didn't want to. There's too many variables already.
Dan LaSavage at Combat Corner, one of the things he said is, don't worry about making weight so much.
You were.
Feel
Yeah, I brought that
comfortable.
up.
Yeah.
I brought that up. I think you were grabbing a coffee.
Oh, yeah, probably. Probably.
Yeah,
I was grabbing a donut and a cheeseburger.
I hate that guy.
Freaking fantastic.
But it is an awesome point that he made as far as being comfortable. It's your first tournament. Don't worry about that stuff. That's just another stressor. Yeah. And you're a beginner jiu-jitsu tournament player. Yeah, I mean,
get some experience rolling with some new guys, and whether you win or lose, you learn a little bit.
Right.
Yep.
So you're now at what weight?
205.
205.
Yep.
And are you concerned about cutting more, or is it just I'll take it if it comes?
Yeah, I'll take it if it comes. I'm trying to clean up. I got 4 weeks left, so I'm just trying to stay a little bit more disciplined on everything. Trying to get more training in. I got to be careful though, because again, I am competitive, and I was rolling with Jonathan today, and he got me in a nice submission, and I thought I could fight my way out of it. So of course I tried. And
did you fall asleep?
No. Oh. But it was an arm, kind of like a double arm bar, and I tried to slip out of it, and it could have hurt.
Yeah.
but he had good control, so fortunately it didn't. But I got to keep that in mind. It's like, boy, that would really suck. That would be the worst.
It's getting an injury now.
To get injured before the tournament.
We're talking weeks.
Yeah,
it's not like it's a couple
not even
months
4
away.
weeks.
Yeah,
3 weeks.
Yeah.
How many people do we have competing? Is it like 5 or 6?
I think at least 6.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's not bad for only being open a few months.
And I'll tell you one thing, just from a physical fitness standpoint, there's something different about rolling as far as the cardio, because it's not like running, it's not like sprinting, it's not like
riding a bike.
It's not like swimming, it's not like doing stand-up sparring.
Right.
It's totally different, because you're getting your cardio, plus you're, if especially if you're going up against somebody that's halfway decent, they're using their weight, they're compressing you,
and or their speed.
It's the pressure, their speed, and then you're constantly using your muscles. So I mean, you're getting strength training with your cardio, and it's all at the same time.
That's a good point. I brought up to somebody that wanted to get into shape, and I said, well, if you don't like weights, try jiu-jitsu. Because you're pushing and pulling so much. You're using your arms and your legs so much. And at the same time, the beauty of it is you're learning self-defense. Because what do they say? Just about every fight goes to the ground, or a lot of it does. And if you know a little jiu-jitsu, it could.
They all end there, at least for one guy.
Yeah.
Right?
Didn't Diaz end up on the ground a few times? Nate Diaz?
Yeah, he did.
Yeah, didn't his blood end up on the ground too?
His blood ended up in the crowd. I'm McGregor in the ring.
Didn't his eyeball end up on the ground too?
Yeah, he lost a face. His face is missing right now.
Did you watch the fight?
Yeah, I watched it.
Oh, it's a Diaz fan. You can
Wait
tell.
a minute. I'm not a Diaz fan.
You were a Diaz fan that night.
I just don't like McGregor.
So you're a gangster.
And actually, no. And actually,
he's a thug.
That's what ticks me off about Diaz. Why didn't he take him to the ground? He's a third-degree black belt in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, and he only tried like 2 takedowns. That was late in the fight.
You know,
It's you know what? It's ego.
I was just going to say that. Think of Diaz. He wanted that Stockton.
He wanted to beat
slap.
him up. Yeah.
He wanted to beat him up at his own game.
Yeah. Stupid.
And
You're a professional fighter. That's how you put food on the table.
Yeah.
And
he still made $2 million plus. What did he make in pay-per-view? I think they said he made $13 million after the day was done.
That's pretty good for losing a face.
Yeah, and McGregor made 15.
That's
I
amazing.
think he made 15 at the end of the day.
That's got to be one of the top payouts for
Ooh,
UFC.
I think it was.
Because those guys usually don't get paid a lot, the UFC. Not compared to boxers boxers make so much money.
I was looking at the payout for the fights, the main card, and even on the main card, I think one of the fighters got $10,000.
Yeah,
That was his payout. $10,000.
that's
What
crazy.
the hell? Are you serious? You got a 3-month training camp, 4-month training camp?
How do you pay your trainers?
Man, they're on the consignment program.
I guess.
You know. So you thought Diaz was going to win? Did you think Diaz
Yeah.
was going to win?
Yeah, I thought he'd win. I thought he was too big.
Take him to the ground, finish him.
Yeah, and I thought, well, and I just honestly, I thought he would beat him on his feet too. I just thought he was too big, and his reach advantage was too much. But he looked slow.
He did.
I don't know.
He said he was injured.
Yeah,
He said that in
Yeah,
the post
he was
conference.
injured after the fight. His leg was mangled. His face was missing. Yeah, he was injured, all right.
Well, McGregor, I guess, and
Broke
I might
his
be
foot
wrong.
or
Yeah,
shin or
broke his
something.
foot on those leg kicks.
Well, did you see Diaz's leg?
Yeah.
I'm sure anybody's foot would have broke.
Well, the thing is, McGregor never throws kicks. He rarely throws those leg kicks.
That's where his camp was a lot smarter.
Yeah.
They knew the game plan.
I actually thought Diaz was going to win the same way that he won in fight 1 because McGregor was gassing at the end of the second
Yeah,
round. And
I agree
thought,
with Kurt. I thought Diaz was going to just out-size him, beat him, get him to the ground, tap him out. I thought it would have been,
a repeat.
especially if it went the distance, 4 or 5 rounds. Because you're right, McGregor was gassed. He was seriously gassed.
I thought it was a repeat. I remember the guys being around, and I'm like, oh no, it's over.
And by the time he tried to take him to the ground, then
it was too late.
He was too late, and he was tired, and he was beat up, and he should have done it early.
I'm wondering how bad or how good the McGregor kicks were, as far as getting that when you go for the double. Mm-hmm. How much that lead leg plays, because he just went after it. Dos Anjos did that. That's how he beat Diaz. Same thing. McGregor followed the same template and just beat his leg in. And that lead leg is important.
Yeah.
But I'm a McGregor fan, so.
Yeah, we know.
Yeah,
I'm not.
do.
It's so bad. It's 3 against 1 here. It's 3 Diaz. Lou, are you a McGregor fan?
No.
No, he's a Diaz guy.
Yeah,
So you all are gangster.
Hey, we're not anti-American here.
Yes, baby.
See, that's Diaz
Yes.
right there.
Stockton, baby.
He does his double bicep pose in a gangster way. It's just so weird the way he does that stuff. Do you see the way he walks?
They're both clowns, and that's
agree
why
with
they
that.
got
No.
paid so much money in this fight. They're
It
just
really
both
is.
clowns.
It's more of a reflection on the fans, I think. This is what we want. We want, like you said, 2
Yeah.
clowns.
Smoke weed every day.
I think McGregor's just being brilliant. He's following the Mayweather plan. Diaz is just straight up gangster.
Yeah,
He is.
He's ghettos.
So McGregor is a manufactured clown.
Mm-hmm.
He knows that's what sells.
I think he believes about 20% of his hype. 80% is just promotion.
That 20% that he believes in is making him $15 million
Well, I
per
can't blame him.
fight.
Can't blame him for making money, but
You just don't like that
I just
style.
don't like him, man.
Yeah. Did you see when they were throwing the cans at each other or the
Yeah.
bottles?
Yeah, Couple of geniuses.
I was wondering if that was fake, if that was rehearsed or of some
Well,
sort.
it doesn't matter. But think about this. What if one of those cans hits somebody in the crowd? Now it's like, well, now you're going to get sued. You know, I don't know. It just seems like
it's
really.
a plastic bottle. Come
They
on.
were throwing like those monsters or something. That's like a.
Were they?
Yeah. Could I throw a can of Pepsi at your face?
Whoa, I didn't know that.
I thought that's what they were doing.
Wow. All right. That's my producer saying end of day. But this was, what episode was this for us? Episode 9?
Yeah.
We're 9 episodes in. We've had some great people. I want to thank you, Kurt.
Hey, thanks for having me on.
being
It's
on,
fun.
taking
Thanks
the
for
time,
coming out, Kurt.
Absolutely.
being here. Anybody interested in getting some teaching from Kurt in survival reflex training, you can come to the Rock. You can call us. And
Thanks,
you can speak to Kurt.
Thanks to Patty.
Yes, thanks to Patty for calling in. We're definitely going to have her on. I think in a week we might have Nikki. Is Nikki
Yeah,
the
Nikki
one that we
from
have
Route
on next
20.
week? Nikki from Route 20 will be on. And we got some great news coming up. We're going to confirm it next week. It's just good news. I can't release it today. But I'm going to give a shout out to Rock Nation. Thank you again, Kurt.
Absolutely. Thanks, guys.
Come on out here. The Rock, we're out, guys. Have a